Hi class. All right, today we're going to take some notes kind of in a different way. In order to do this, you need three different colored pencils and probably a pen as well as a regular pencil. We are going to customize the periodic table that you glued or taped in recently. So first thing is that we are going to create that red bold zigzag line. Now yours doesn't have to be red, but what I would like you to do is take your pen or pencil and you are going to bold this same exact line on your periodic table, making sure that it really is at the same place. So if you look at on the screen, the line starts between boron and aluminum. And then it goes down beside aluminum between silicone and germanium, which is Si, and Ge. And then down between Ge and As, which is arsenic. And then it just keeps going across to create like a nice staircase or zigzag line. Now notice that on this screen diagram, it's missing some of the elements that you have on your chart. So you need to continue the zigzag line all the way to the bottom of row 7 or period 7. All right. So if I'm going too fast, please pause the video so you can catch up. But you want to make sure that you have that zigzag line in. And once you've got it drawn, exactly like the screen shows, you're going to take one of the colored pencils that you have. Now, when we shade the metalloids, we are going to shade very lightly, maybe a little bit more dark, but it shouldn't be too dark to where you can't read the information that's on your periodic table because we're going to use it several times over the next week or two. One thing that you need to know is very important is that all metalloids touch the zigzag line except for aluminum, which is located in row 3 on your periodic table, and column on here it's column 3, and it's beneath boron. That is actually a metal. So when we shade the metalloids in a second, you do not want to shade aluminum. All right, we're going to start shading. So boron, go ahead and shade that lightly. Notice that the reason why we're shading it is because the base of boron touches that zigzag line. Now we're not going to shade carbon because carbon is just diagonally, like the corner of it is touching the zigzag line, and we're only going to shade it if the whole side of a box touches the zigzag line. So you're going to shade silicone, Si, you're going to shade germanium, Ge, arsenic, As, and you're going to keep going down and shading each box that has a side touching the zigzag line. Now, if you're not done, go ahead and pause the video, but if you are ready to move on, we're going to go ahead and fill in the key. And we want to just kind of put a small box within the key and shade it the color that you just used. And beside it, we're going to label that as the color that indicates metalloids. If you're not sure how to spell metalloids, it's right here on the screen to the left, so just use your resources and spell it accurately. All right, moving forward, we are going to shade the metals and nonmetals next. And so what you need to know is that the metalloids are located between most of the metals and nonmetals. So it kind of separates those two groups. So when we get done, we're going to have one large group of metals, a very small group of metalloids, and then a medium-sized group of nonmetals colored in on this periodic table. All right, we're going to start shading the metals first, and those are located to the left of the metalloids. Be very careful and notice right now that this chart looks a little bit different on the left side than yours because hydrogen is supposed to be right above lithium, Li. It is on your chart, but it's not on this one. And the reason why is because hydrogen, even though it's to the left of the zigzag line, is not a metal. So they have placed it in the middle of the chart right here. And so I just want to make sure you understand you're not shading that one. Go ahead and shade all of the metals. And when I say all of the metals, that also includes the two sub-layers of elements beneath the 7 periods or rows. So you're going to have lots of this color that you're using for metals on your periodic table. All right, you're probably going to need a second to do that. So if you need a second, pause. If you're ready to move on, you want to make sure that you add the color that you use for metals to your key. All right, next, we're going to pick our third color of colored pencil and we're going to lightly shade the nonmetals, which are all of the boxes left over, and including hydrogen. So right now you're going to take that last color pencil, you're going to shade in hydrogen all the way to the left of your periodic table, and then you're going to shade all of the other boxes that are not colored in to the right of the metalloids. Add this to your key when you're done shading. So you're going to indicate that that color represents non-metals. All right, so once you've got your key filled in and all your shading done, we need to add some words on here. So we're going to draw a couple big arrows on this periodic table and label them. The first arrow, listen carefully, you're going to have to draw an arrow that goes all the way from francium, okay, all the way there to aluminum. I don't know if you can see where I'm drawing or not, but you're going from francium in the bottom left corner of the periodic table to aluminum, which is at the top right part of all the metals. And along that line, and you can do that line in pen or pencil, it doesn't really matter. You don't want to do it too bold because you want to be able to read the information underneath this arrow. But you're going to start at francium and write most metallic to least metallic. So starting at the end of the arrow that is near francium in the bottom left corner, you're going to write the phrase most metallic, and moving closer to aluminum to least metallic. And what that means is that these elements that are in the bottom left corner of the periodic table really fit our description of a metal. They fit all of the characteristics, and they're like strong metals. And as we look at the metals that are closer to aluminum and zinc and gallium, those are metals still, but they kind of weakly represent a metal. All right, one more line that we're going to draw is a line. There's like a little space between your 7 main rows or periods of the periodic table, and then those bottom 2 dropout sections coming from rows 6 and 7. So in that space that goes all the way across beneath your 7 rows on the periodic table, I want you to draw an arrow. And on that arrow, on the side that's closer to francium and radium, I want you to write most reactive. And then as you get closer to the side where you see radon and oganesson and tennyson. And by the way, I don't know if I'm pronouncing those right, but as you get closer to the right side of the periodic table, you're going to write to least reactive. So that is basically just saying that the elements that are on the left side of the periodic table are way more reactive than the ones on the right side. In fact, the ones on the right side are not reactive at all. All right, so that should be a finished product. And if you want to compare it to an example, I have some up front that you can look at. And so just kind of read over this and make sure that you understand everything that's on the screen right now. And make sure that your periodic table is complete by checking the ones up front. And you are good to go for next week. Thank you.